All right, what's good in the hood? What's good in the hood? 2026 is nearly upon us. I'm going to do some predictions, some thoughts on what I expect to see throughout the next year, the Paramount Era. So stay tuned and bear with me as I progress through my takes. Some of them wild, some of them standard. All right, coming at you with the first one: retirements. And these three are just merely, I think, the faces of this. But every year we see new retirements, and I think there's gonna be a couple unks, a couple legends, a couple ranked fighters. For all we know, they're gonna put their gloves down. I picked these three specifically because they're all on, to a degree, skids, and I think it is what it is. I think a lot of them might be riding the prospect that they can return, to their former glory, like Benil, Adesanya to a degree. And in the case of Colby, I think he's just chasing one last payday. And ooh, gas. Oh, yep, wellness right there. I think Colby, for example, and a few others, and maybe Adesanya falls in this camp too. He's waiting for that White House, and that's obviously a great platform to retire on. He's got his little Statue of Liberty tattoo there, no less. So yeah, I expect some retirements. Some of them that will be expected. Sanya, I don't know if people are expecting him to retire. They want him to retire, but I think if he takes one more loss and he's accepted the fact that he ain't getting that title again, no matter how easy he gets a title shot, coming off a loss, no less. But yeah, expect some retirements. Francis, the Predator. What's part of that prediction from? No, I don't think he's coming back to the UFC. Dana don't like this man. This is like one of the few guys that like falls into that Arohwani camp of like you're effed, you're fucked. And Francis is an interesting case because you could still argue he's in his prime, but man, he just like does not have good guidance and perhaps does not have a lot of intelligence. No, I won't go that far. But yeah, I don't know. I think my prediction is he's gonna burn out with the PFL. He's gonna do his one fight. Maybe wins, maybe loses. It's gonna be against that Russian guy, Vakim Nemkov, who just came off a win. It looked really good against Renata like Ferreira. That's how little I know PFL. I can't say their names. But yeah, I think Francis will probably beat Nemkov, and he seems like he's holding out hope for UFC, and I don't expect him to go to UFC. So I don't see where him staying in MMA. I think he's gonna fully commit to boxing because that's where the money is, and the fact that he had such good performance against Tyson, he probably can get another two or so fights, two or so paydays. So yeah, I don't expect him to honestly do much in MMA, which is a real shame because if he could come back to the UFC, he'd fit in so nicely with the current landscape of the heavyweight. Not to mention, perhaps we could finally have seen that him versus John Jones, but maybe in 2027, who knows? All right, this one's a quick one. Mohamed Makayev, he's coming back to the UFC. The flyweights, especially with their leader Pantoja seemingly crippled for the year, and now Joshua Van seems to be leading it, which is very uncertain because he didn't earn it, and B is just not a big enough name yet. I'm gonna say that Dana will recognize the value in Makayev, bring him back. I mean, he fits the bill of what was it, that Dagestan S wrestling brigade of champions we've had. So I expect him to come back, and he's gonna be in title contention. He's undefeated. He was undefeated in the UFC before he got cut or let go, didn't get re-signed. But I expect him to come back, and it's honestly good. I think it's good, especially if they really develop that story of like he was bad beyond the scenes, not good negotiations, this and that, and then boom, he just comes back and he's a company man. All right, moving on. This man, the killer of the middleweight division. My prediction, I think it's what everyone else agrees with. He's gonna fight once and he's gonna disappear again. He's gonna be on Twitter yapping this and that. Ian Gary this, Alex Perry Duck that. My prediction is he's gonna fight once, especially with this hand injury he has. He's gonna fight once around the middle of the year, and we probably won't see him again because he's already said he's gonna vacate and try to go up for the light heavyweight belt, which makes it even more muddled because now you gotta line that up, and that's assuming Dana even gives it to him. I don't know if Dana will give it to him. He's a big name, yes, but he puts on stinkers sometimes. That DDP match, oh, that Dana must honestly think every time this guy moves up and tries to claim another belt, you're killing off a division. So I expect him to fight once. I expect him to be in the background for some of the other guys and gals that I mentioned. Dakota Ditchovic. Sadly, we can't predict she'll be in the UFC because she signed an extension, I believe, till 2027, and she's one of the last homegrown, recognizable names in the PFL, I'd say. And she's young and up and coming, so like she's their future, and she's banging hot. But yeah, I expect her to just continue to maintain her status as the most, how should I say, credible female fighter outside the UFC. I'm sorry, Chris Cyborg, you don't get that option. Yeah, she's going to continue to probably go undefeated as she has already. Continue to get highlight finishes. Continue to defend whatever artificial belt they keep giving her. They have region belts. They have World Series belts. I don't even know what's going on there, but yeah, she's can continue to build that momentum, and I do expect by 2027 she's going to be wise and say I can come into the women's division and own it. And she's so marketable, so I don't see why she wouldn't. But in the meantime, she's going to try to be active. I think in 2026 and continue to fill up my reels. Moving on. Ooh, Connor. Oh boy, Connor, and also disclaimer: I pulled these from the UFC website. Don't sue me, Dana. And I don't know what's going on. Nate's his pose. He just like reminds me of like you're like a fifth grader, sixth grader, or whatever at the class photo day or whatever, and he just looks like he had to be up tough and whatnot, but he looks like he just like I don't know, he just looks like he came back from like playground time and just had like a little peanut butter and jelly snack. I don't know what's going on with him. He's still a dog, still an OG. But my prediction, and it's mainly more on the Connor side, is that I think that he's going to end up fighting Nate. And I don't think it's going to be in the UFC. I think it's going to be some sort of bare knuckle esque match. Seeing as though Connor has expressed bare knuckle as his future, he only has one fight, I believe, left on the UFC. Assuming it's Chandler, which seems like a safe bet. He's gonna dip. If he can dip, he's gonna dip. Keep that door open, obviously, for the UFC if they ever give him that Islam fight, which he's hinted at, but I just don't see that happening, and I think Islam probably would refuse it. So I expect him and Nate to finally wrap up their trilogy, and I think it'll be in more equal playing ground. Bare knuckle, I'd give the advantage to Connor based off how Nate looked with Jake Paul, but you never know. All right, moving on. John Pork will be the what are we gonna call him? The Rookie of the Year 2026, the most improved, standout superstar. He's already a meme. He's already riding the coattails of Islam, and well deserved. He's one of his main training partners, but I think 2026 John Pork might rise up to be ranked in his division. And B, he's gonna cross that 1 million barrier. Plus, he's already at like 500,000, and all he has done is do the Contender Series and be made fun of Islam. But I mean, if you go back and watch, was it the presser? He walks in, he made that presser. Islam had to stop to address him and all that while he's just getting all that aura farming from the audience. So I expect him to not lose, probably get 2 to 3 fights, make his debut obviously on a fight night or something. Probably get slipped on a pay per view whenever Islam fights, just to line them up. I think he's gonna grow. He's gonna become that new one. And unlike some of the other ones, wrestling is not his first nature. So Dana, push this man to the moon. Push him to the moon. Ooh, Ilya Taporia. Now this one is heavily dependent on a pending divorce. So, assuming the divorce does not kill this man, and divorces have killed many men before him, and many men after. That's why I'm not getting married anytime soon. Nonetheless, Ilya, I think he's gonna be done by the end of the year. I think he's gonna be pulling done by the sense of he's gonna do what Connor did. He's just not gonna take a fight, and he's gonna through the negotiation, hopefully of Dana, he's gonna try to get a boxing fight going. I don't know who, but he's expressed it, and the fact that UFC now promotes boxing and has gotten some pretty big stars already, Canelo, Terrence Crawford, etc., makes me think that Ilya he's gonna defend the belt probably once against Patty Justin winner. We'll say Justin. That's my prediction, pre-prediction. And once he wins, he's gonna have his defense at lightweight. He's gonna have his defense at featherweight, and he's gonna have two options. He's gonna ask for the Islam fight to get the third belt, or he's gonna go to boxing and kill some time over there. And I feel like the Islam fight, I don't know. I just don't think they're gonna push it because they don't think he can win. He's too small. So I think he's gonna go to boxing, and he actually might do pretty well. And it could be similar to the Connor situation, where obviously it's gonna boost his presence in the fighting world. But if he comes away with a win against someone with a name, maybe even fights for a belt, who knows? When he comes back to the UFC, he's gonna be even bigger than he ever has. Valentina, I think she might be due to be the next double champ. I think it's been long overdue. If you think about some of the other double champs in the history of the sport, she's had so many titles. I think she has like 9 title defenses and like 11 title fight wins. And in this day and age, especially with women no less, I don't see why she can't jump up. Um, my prediction is probably going to be that Kayla Harrison is still the champ, and I feel like this is destined to potentially go in the White House. It's going to be her challenging Kayla and at bantamweight, and I just feel like Valentina. We all kind of put some disrespect on her name until she smoked out Zhang Weili. A boring fight nonetheless, but she put the brakes on her, and her versus Kayla. It's definitely a compelling fight. Kayla is obviously the American champ, defending on American soil. But I just feel like Valentina, she's such a gamer, and she's pretty damn good at grappling, and she definitely will be doing some bulking up to not make the mistake that Zhang Wei Li did when she fought her. And I don't see why she's not destined to be a double champ. And unlike the current stance where double champs don't um, simultaneously hold the belts, I feel like she's like one of the few. Maybe DC was also in that category too, because it was easy from the ball between. I just feel like Valentina, she can actually hold both belts, and they should give her that chance. I know it's a dead topic; they don't allow it anymore, but I think she's gonna be the standard bearer for that. Oh boy, I'm getting sad just thinking about this. Volkanovski, I think his reign is gonna end in 2026. I think we're never gonna see him again. And obviously, I already talked about the unks, but he's not an unk just yet. Sure, he dresses up like an unk at the presser, but I just feel like he's hit a crossroads. He's got a lithium amount of challengers looming in the forms of obviously Diego Lopez. He's got to get past Diego Lopez. Assuming he doesn't get hurt, handle all that like he did last time, he's probably gonna try to be active because he wants to keep collecting scalps for his legacy tour. And I just don't know if he can get past who I think will be the one that will dethrone him, Evelev. And I think if Evelev does it in such like a 50-45 fashion, I don't think Volkanovski's going to chase a rematch. I think he's going to call it quits. He's going to go, I'm just not like I was in my peak. Like he's going to have that recollection of, I know it could be of Evelev, at my peak 2-3 years ago, but at my current stance, I'm just not fast. I'm not good enough on the wrestling, etc. And it won't be the most exciting fight, but it's going to be a swan song for him. Hopefully not in a KO fashion. We hope to God we can have him just go out on like maybe a 48, 47, 49, 46. You hope he wins, but then he just says like, hey, they'd probably give me a rematch because they love me and I'm good business, but I want to be with my kids and I don't want to take any more damage. And it'll be great. It's one of those like happy, I think, retirements unlike Cejudo where the man had a third eyeball. All right, moving on. Oh boy, the ladies. This one is very much a wild card because it kind of contradicts my one of my earlier predictions. That's why you gotta diversify. If one doesn't go through, the other one might. So Kayla's gonna beat Amanda Nunes, and assuming Valentina doesn't get the opportunity, because who knows, Dana just won't give it to her. Whatever. I feel like Dana would give it to her if it's Amanda, so they can do a trilogy, her and Valentina. But assuming Kayla is still champ going into the White House era, I well, let's start with this. Ronda, the rumors her coming back. She ain't coming back for boxing. That's just like dumb. Like she's already hinted she has all this like concussion, head trauma, this and that. And don't get me wrong, MMA is still pretty bad, and she's obviously experienced the worst of it. But boxing would just be like ridiculous, and she's by no means a good striker. She's a judo specialist with some levels of striking, but at the end of the day, she's a grappler. She can submit people. So, and there's a lot of history between these two. They faced each other, I believe, was it back in the Olympics, judo. I believe Kayla gold. Don't quote me on that. And then Ronda bronze. But Kayla, I believe, beat her. So you have that, and on top of it, they don't seem to like each other. And Ronda does have that level of trash talk mouth. And on top of all that, it's just a big return. Now, I don't agree with the words of Ali Abdelaziz, Sleaze, Kayla's manager, where he thinks this would transcend and beat out Conor versus Habib. It's not that big, but if you put it on the White House, it's definitely intriguing because Ronda just has such name value, and we haven't seen her in a fighting setting in so long that it's going to draw a lot of eyeballs. Do I think she wins? No, no, I don't think she'll do good in the feed. And just reading that article back again of just her talking about a jab back when she was training for Amanda Nunes, like a jab could cause her to have headaches, like in a training camp. So yes, you can't bet at all on Ronda, but I'll root for her if she comes back. Jan, Peter Jan, my boy. He was not even gonna make the cut for this until was it 2 weeks ago when he decided to cause one of the biggest upsets of the year. Peter Yan. I've already said he has numerous challengers, so there is some concern. But my prediction, he's gonna have a mighty reign, and he might, if he's not already considered for 2025 Fighter of the Year, I think 2026 he is due to be Fighter of the Year. He's got a litany of different challengers, but think he's I think he can get past all of them. He's gonna get past probably Umar. They'll do a rematch with Sean, which is very winnable. And then to crown out the year, he's gonna have to beat Marab a second time. I think he can do it. I think 2026 we're gonna if he's not already in the GOAT conversation, if he can beat all three of those names, maybe sub out Sean for Song Yidong. If he can get past three of those, like damn, like that's gonna be he would be on what, 6 fight win streak, I believe. Oh no, it'll be a 7 fight win streak, but that fight streak will include Song Yadong, maybe Song Yang again, Sean O'Malley, Marab, another Marab, assuming Umar, Figueredo, and can't even think of the last one, the guy with the dreads. Go look him up. But yeah, I think he's gonna have a nice generational little run going because he doesn't seem like based off the Marab fight. Now that we assume when he's fresh, he's the top of the division. Like before, it was like all right, he was trying to make excuses, blew a hand out, shoulder, etc. But he supposedly had a good camp with Marab, and his game was nearly perfect. He did everything right. So I don't see any of them giving him much issue other than Marab using his brain this time. But even then, Marab is very one dimensional in his game. So yeah, I'm rooting for you, Jan. Holloway. Holloway. So he's the BMF. He's got a tough challenge against Charlie Olives. Good old Olives. I think he's going to get past Olives, which makes me think he's going to be in the running to fight for the lightweight belt. And when I say the lightweight belt, it's going to be the vacate lightweight belt because at that point, it'll be near the end of the year, fall, let's say. And assuming Ilya fights in the White House, he's going to want to go to boxing, which means Dana will not do what he allowed Conor to do and let them just hold that belt, he's gonna make Ilya vacate it, and I think Ilya's totally fine with it. And if he vacates it and Armin's still on the naughty list, then I feel like it's gonna be Max versus the interim belt holder. Which, if we're assuming it's Justin, all right, we'll play devil's advocate. It's gonna be Patty, so it's gonna be Patty versus Max. But even then, if it was Justin versus Max, I favor Max in both cases, which makes me happy to say that I think Max will finally get back to undisputed gold, and no less he'll join the slowly less elusive, but still elusive, double champ status. Frankly, he'll actually be a triple champ, but I don't count the BMF as a true belt. So double champ, I think that's Max's future. His chin still seems to be impenetrable, and yeah, he seems to fit very well in the lightweight division right now. So I'm happy for him. I think 2026 he could also have an underrated be a fighter of the year. All right, moving on. My boy, the Nomad Shavkat. 2026, I think this is gonna be the big prediction I have is that I think he's gonna be the man to dethrone Islam, but it's not gonna happen till probably November, Madison Square Garden. He's gonna come back early March, February. He's gonna win against somebody. It could be the Buckley. They're having a little beef going on. Buckley's getting real aggressive towards him. Um, it's gonna be one of the perennial fringe contenders, like was it Michael Morales or maybe Kamaru Usman or Carlos Prates. He's gonna be one of those guys, and it's gonna be a war because he's been off for almost a year and a half, and he's gonna show some rust, but he's gonna finish one of those three guys most likely. That's my prediction. Hopefully they do 5 rounds just so we can see how he looks in 5 rounds and again ensure that he gets a finish. And I think he's gonna wait because Islam will fight around end of Ramadan, so either around May or even June for the White House. And it will give both of them like 5 to 6 months of prep. And Shavkat, I think I've said he's the dark horse. It's literally because we forget about him. But before then, even with his abysmal performance against Ian Gary, you have to consider he did beat Ian Gary, and that win's aging extremely well. And B, I believe he blew his knee out, which is why he's been out for a year plus in that fight, like very early, by one of those damn like heap leg kicks he was thrown by Ian. So yeah, I feel like he's the man to potentially cause the throning of Islam. His height, he seems to have decent wrestling, but his striking, especially his power with his boxing, there's gonna be problems there. His clinch work, I think it's gonna be something where we're gonna see if he can thrive on the ground, but when they're standing on the feet, he's gonna be pretty spatial aware and not fall for the traps that JDM did, which was just straight up letting Islam take a double like shoulder hip deep, and then from there it's like it's elementary for him to take you down. So I think Shavkat, it's gonna be an absolute war, and I don't think he could finish Islam, but I think it's gonna be something almost similar to Pirion and Marab, where it's gonna be like you're gonna be like, whoa, Shavkat when he's fully fresh with a knee, size wise is gonna make Islam A look a lot smaller, and B, you're gonna be like, oh damn, once he starts getting the time of those takedowns, once he starts ripping the body, Islam's gonna gas a little bit. And it's gonna be just like some of his other fights where he's just gonna slowly break them. They're gonna start wearing that damage. And Shavkat, frankly, he has a pretty good chin. Like with his fight with Jeff Neal, like he'd get cracked and then like 30 seconds later be body locking, pushing against the cage and ripping knees. And it's like, all right, he does not back down. He goes for war. I'm ranting too much because I love this guy, but I think Shavkat, he's gonna do what no one else could do. My boy, Winged FC. Wing C. This one's short and sweet. If you don't know him, go look him up. Ultra memist, goof, but he's good for business. He was already featured on the UFC Fight Pass. He did get head kicked and gillied into eternity, but he's already hinted, and there's like a whole documentary that I'll have to go listen with DJ where they're just chronologically his like fight camps and this and that and just God knows what else. But he says he's going pro. And I feel like if he fights actively enough and actually learns how to not dip his head into things and actually play defense, he gets a few wins. I could see him debuting, especially on Dana White's Contender Series and all that, because at the end of the day, He is ultra unique. I mean, just go look at those face and chest tattoos. The was it Death Squad Requiem. Yeah, so I think he's gonna appear similar to John Pork, where he's gonna appear here as an audience. His audience is only gonna grow because of his meme esque appearance, and as long as he doesn't get ultra filtered, he's gonna be a nice little addition, I think, to UFC, especially as you lose all these unks and whatnot. Like characters like Adesanya, they're such a big name that you'll potentially lose some fan base when they retire. That's why you gotta refill them up with these chocolate milk drinking anime boys. Okay, Pereira. I believe this is the. This might be my final prediction. No, I think I have one more. Pereira. This one, it's kind of obvious, but I'm gonna go on a limb and assume that I don't think Tom Aspinall will fight this year. He might not, and if he does fight, it's not gonna be until end of Q3, Q4. So in the business terms, he's not gonna fight until like the fall or even the winter, right around October. And at that point, you might as well just save him for the return for November. He's so used to not fighting because of damn John Jones and his bony behavior. But yeah, I think Prayer he's done with light heavyweight. There's no point. He doesn't want to fight Ankalaev. It's only gonna hurt his position if he loses to that guy. Especially because it's a trilogy, and that means he's like pretty much locked out of that division. So I think he's gonna vacate, and with Tom Aspinall's unfortunate eye poke situation, he's gonna get called up, and he's gonna beat Gain, serial Gain. He's gonna beat him, and he's gonna do what others have aspired to do. Others have probably tried to do here and there, or at least started the roadmap for it. And he's gonna become the first triple champ. Sorry, Cejudo, you don't count. And he's gonna become the biggest. If he's not already the biggest star in some eyes, he's gonna become the biggest star in 2026. And it's gonna be glorious because as you draw, well, if he does this, let's say around, it might be like as early as February, March even. If he can beat Gain, that sets him up for a fight with John Jones and at the White House. If he can beat John Jones, oh my god! And maybe they even elevate him to, the true, not interim, but he'll be the undisputed, at least assuming Ospinall still is seeing double. Oh my god! If he goes on that run, beats John Jones, right? Puts a asterisk on that man's record, and then goes and unifies the belt against Aspinall in like November. He's gonna be like you gotta have to put him just like on that impact and how short lived his career is. He's gonna be the GOAT if he can do all that. Now that's assuming Tom has no eyeballs, but I hope he can get his eyes back. All right, that's the white screen. You know what that means. Thanks for listening. Let me know what you think. Do you have any other unexpected or expected predictions that you think are going to happen? Let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you for some more 2026.